Okay, we'll get started. On behalf of Bryant's Alumni Association, welcome to our career webinar series, How to Use Digital Marketing and Social Media to Ignite Your Brand. Before I turn the program over to our presenters, Dr. Boyer and Dr. Adoran, I want to provide you with some tips for today's webinar, which will last for 1 hour. All participants will be muted. However, we encourage you to comment and ask questions using the chat feature located at the bottom of your screen.
Are we?
All right, well, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Dr. Charmaine Adoran, and as you may know, Dr. Boyer and I are both professors in the Department of Marketing at Bryant University, and we've really spent the last decade working together on various projects. And we just came together to work on our latest project, which is a book called The Little Black Book of Social Media, which was recently launched, as well as the BizU Profs mastermind community that you'll all be receiving an invitation to join as well. And our areas of expertise kind of surround, marketing and sales, and for me specifically, digital marketing. So for example, I've created the digital marketing concentration at Bryant and the digital marketing team. And what I love is preparing, students with strategies and tools they need to lead in this very dynamic area. I also run a consulting business where I help businesses design and implement digital marketing campaigns and strategies. And now I'll hand it over to Steph to talk about herself.
All right, so you've already seen me, and many of you might already know me. I run the sales program here at Bryant University, and I recently also I've become the co-founder of an app called Rainmakers, and it allows students to practice their role plays and learn selling skills by speaking with an artificially intelligent customer bot, and it listens, it adapts, and it responds to students. I do a lot of training for LinkedIn and linked up with Charmaine here on this labor of love project for this book. So we're regularly asked to help people with their strategy online. Sometimes it's to become an influencer, to create an influencer brand. Sometimes it's just to drive more revenue for their business. Position their professional brand on LinkedIn. Maybe they're trying to get a promotion. Maybe they're trying to get a job. They're using social selling to try to create leads and to generate revenue. We wrote the book to just capture it the right way from the start. And so in this workshop today, we're going to take you through a few of the basics so that you can just go ahead and you can get going. And especially given the circumstances that we're in, the current circumstances, we know that many of you are trying to reinvent yourself. Maybe you're doing that online now. Maybe you're making the move to online. Maybe you're already online and you're just trying to improve your strategy. So you might be a brand new at this. You might be an old pro. And regardless, you're going to all be able to get something useful to either get started or make adjustments to be able to hit your goals. All right. So today, we're going to take you on a journey through some of the basics to ignite your brand. And we want to talk about first, what are some of the reasons that brands fail online when they're doing their social strategy? What are some of the things? What do you think the mistakes are people make that make them fail, their social fail? You can go ahead and type that in the comments.
Great points, you guys. Absolutely.
Engagement, information, too casual, not consistent, not knowing their audience. These are really good, you guys. You're accused of being too wonky. Maybe you don't know your customer needs and wants. Oh, these are great. These are great. All right. Well, you guys actually hit some of these on the nail on the head, right? So the first thing that we see is there's a problem with brand clarity and brand vision. People don't know their strategy. They don't really think of what they want to get out of their social. They just post and it's not really purposeful, right? So you'll see a post of a sandwich. Why did you post a sandwich? Did you post a sandwich because you want to show that you're in nutrition? Is it because you're busy and you want to show that you have to eat lunch on the run? Did you eat a leftover sandwich from somebody and it's, you know, it's your kid's sandwich that they didn't eat? And so now you're trying to show that you're a busy mom. Are you trying to promote being a vegan, right? What is it? Typically, there's not really a foundation to work from, and there's no real goals in place. So that's really the first big mistake. The second mistake is being off target, right? Just not really understanding who it is that you want to reach. There's not really a direct effort in order to specify a certain person or group of people that you want to reach with your message, and you really don't want to waste your time sending messages out to people, to an audience that really isn't interested in the value that you have to offer, right? So don't just send the messages out to the world hoping that somebody is going to receive a message, find it valuable, and then want to follow you. It's important to have a targeted approach. The next big challenge and major problem that we see is that there's an insufficient impact. And what I mean by that is the posts, the messages, the communication, they're not really communicating any kind of a value proposition. It doesn't even seem like one exists, right? And so that value proposition is what you have to offer that other people are going to find value in. And perhaps there really is something very valuable about what you have to offer, but you're not positioning it and you're not communicating that clearly. The next component is the human element. And it's really easy on social media to forget that that device that you're communicating on is being managed by a human being on the other end. So it's important to keep in mind that you're communicating with people. And all of these mistakes, they just turn into wasted time, wasted opportunities, and it can really even damage the relationship and the reputation you have with the people that are currently following you. And it can prevent people from wanting to follow you. So those that are considering following you, they may not want to follow you if you're making some of these mistakes. So you might say, well, how can I recognize that? From the beginning, you can just start looking at it, look at your likes, look at your views, look at your shares, look at the comments and see, are they going down or are they already low to begin with? And if that's the case, it just means that you're not getting as much value out of the time that you're spending on social media. All right. And so why is this happening? It's because you need to develop a strategy to be able to analyze your data. But this might seem like it's overwhelming. You might already feel like you don't have enough time already as it is. And often when you hear the words strategy, when you hear the words analytics, it might seem like it's really scary, but it's actually really simple. And if you're spending time creating content that nobody is going to see and they're not going to engage with, then you're really wasting your time. All right. And we're here to help. We're really offering some opportunities for you to make minor tweaks in the areas, those 4 areas that we talked about. And those tweaks can result in big differences for you, like monetizing your time online, or even little differences like getting more engagements on your posts. So you'll be able to see the engagement numbers go up. So for those on right now, what would you like to get out of your social media time? Do you want to get more engagement? Is it something else? Please go ahead and let us know in the chat. Great, better engagement from employer decision makers, further reach, more engagement, more followers. Great. Clients, I love it. knowing where to start, more engagement. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I'm so happy to hear this. These are very, very good goals to have. All right. Well, we've created our simple system called PAVE, and PAVE is really a subset of some of the items that are in our book. And it's really just to help you to avoid some of those common pitfalls that we talked about. The purpose is to create a solid foundation on your strengths, right? And those are individual to you. And then we're going to look at how to target the most appropriate audience, develop your value offering, and then design your engagement strategy. So Dr. Charmine Adoran is going to get you started with purpose.
All right. Hi, everyone. Stephanie, thanks for setting us up. Yeah, so like Stephanie said, we developed a simple system to get you going with your brand, and it all starts with purpose. So before you start any online strategy, it's important to consider, why did you start your business in the first place? What is your mission? For influencers or those kind of focusing on personal branding, what's the purpose for developing a brand? And how can you find that, that real sweet spot where your talent and your experiences and your passions align? And here we can get to the core of what you have to offer and how you can provide value in that niche. And we'll also kind of show you how to communicate that online. So I have in the next slide, a moment that we can take to kind of brainstorm together, right? And I have a couple examples here and a couple prompts for you. So when thinking about your talent, right, what is it that you do as a business? What is it that you're really bringing to the table as a business, as a person? And try to list your talents. What do people ask for advice about you from? And then you want to think about your experiences. What skills have you built over time? And when thinking about values, what's important to you? What are some of your company values? And what kind of value can you offer to your audience? What problems can you solve with your product or service? And then you start to see, where do my values align with my ability to actually deliver what people need, right? So where does your talent, your experience kind of intersect with your mission? And that's really what it's about, is finding that niche or that sweet spot. So if you look at the examples here, we're looking at, someone trying to get a job. They perhaps are really good at writing, volunteering. They've had experience with various jobs and positions in marketing. They really love and feel like they can help others. So maybe that sweet spot is going to be nonprofit social media marketing. And maybe you're an influencer. So maybe, you are really good at cooking and giving restaurant recommendations and photography. You've been a Yelp reviewer, you've taken a couple classes in photography, and you love supporting local businesses. And perhaps the best niche for you is to be a foodie influencer, where you're helping your community and restaurants in your state. So really thinking about what is that sweet spot. Now, you've kind of had some time to think about perhaps that niche, but it's also important to think about your goals, right? What are your goals for using various online platforms? What do you really want to accomplish? Are you trying to grow your business, promote your culture, build brand awareness, send traffic to your website, increase sales, build relationships, monitor competition? I mean, so many goals, and you can accomplish all of those using different social media channels. So I kind of want you to think about, and you kind of did already, but what's that number one thing you'd like to accomplish, right? So some of you said engagement, leads, brand awareness, conversions, right? Penetrating new markets. Yes, these are all goals that you can actually achieve with social. So now, based on your purpose, you want to think about what you want to say, right? And who would benefit from what you have to offer. If there's an overlap between what your audience wants to hear and what you have to offer, you're really finding your relevance and your impact, right? So think about, do you really kind of already have an idea of who your audience is? Maybe you can write that in chat. All right, so we've got home buyers, recruiters, future employers, business professionals. Great.
Cake lovers.
Yes. Team members, personal training clients. Great. Real estate investors. Yeah, so there's a lot of reasons why we want to do social media and kind of for who, right? But a lot of people always ask us kind of where should they be online, right? Where should they be posting? And really the answer is that it depends, right? It depends on your industry, it depends on your audience, it depends on whether you're B2B, B2C. You really got to do some research and figure out where's your audience hanging out, right? So I'll show you an example. We built BizU Profs. It's a community for marketing and sales professionals to learn and share best practices. And it's a place where our community can kind of ask and answer questions. And what we've done is make sure that we've created a consistent brand across multiple platforms. And we're on all these platforms that you see on the slide because we're trying to reach various audiences on each. So the website, it's become kind of our hub, our storefront. It's helping us, build domain authority, helping us with search engine optimization. So when someone's searching, we're hoping that, our site comes up first on a Google search. It's also a place we want to drive traffic to so that people can actually take advantage of our resources. So we need some social media to send traffic to this storefront, right? We're on LinkedIn. That's where we're finding professionals, vendors that we can connect with, and people we can help grow their business. On Twitter, it's a really great place to connect with industry professionals, a place to curate really great content from thought leaders. Instagram, as you know, it's a space to find millennials, Gen Z, our students. And Facebook has become a platform for us to create kind of that private BizU Profs mastermind group. That's where like-minded people are connecting. We can go live from Facebook. We can share our best practices and really kind of help our community network together and learn from each other. And Steph, she's going to talk about LinkedIn.
Great. Thanks, Charmaine. LinkedIn is a terrific way to connect with professionals. Usually when you search someone's name, their LinkedIn profile is one of the first things to show up. It's a place to do quality research, to get ready for a client meeting, or just really generate business. And certainly I can see some comments here by Jose, finding online customers. Even Liana, anyone needs to breathe and move their body, right? You can find these people on LinkedIn. Your brand needs a LinkedIn page. You can go onto LinkedIn and join groups that are related to your industry, or you can just start your own group. So for instance, in sales, we have the Sales Education Foundation, Direct Selling Education Foundation. There are so many groups where you're going to get a hub of people that are all also interested in what you're doing and what you're interested in. You can build your following and you can promote your LinkedIn page that way. You can share content, you can create content, create posts that are relevant to your following, and you can promote your business there. You can even create sponsored ads if you want. But LinkedIn gives you exposure to the people that are looking for the ideas, the products, and the service that you have to offer. And it can turn cold calls into warm leads. And it can increase your success rate if you're using it to sell, or even if you're using it just to prospect. So you can create some credibility on LinkedIn based on your page, based on the recommendations that you have and based on the recommendations that you give, believe it or not. And it's really a great place to showcase your client testimonials. So for those of you using social media to promote your professional brand, then LinkedIn is certainly for you. Now we have an activity here for you. So it's a good time to get out your pen and write some things down here, looking at your audience. Now that you know, it's important to find the sweet spot of relevance that we talked about, right? You have a message, your audience has something that they want to hear. There's a little overlap there. That's your relevance. And we shared who our audience is. Now let's find the audience for you. And if you don't know, let's do that. But if you do, especially amidst the current pandemic, you might have to fine tune your audience, and let's find out a little bit more about them. So I want you to think about this and start writing it down. Who can benefit from hearing what you have to say? Who is that? You know, who are you trying to reach? And maybe you're thinking about this. Maybe you're identifying some people, right? Maybe you can think, you know, what do I know about this group or this person? It's a good idea to go ahead and look them up. You know, think about who it is, who's that ideal client. And maybe even in your mind, someone comes up to mind, a specific person. And if that specific person comes in mind when you think about, oh, who's your ideal audience, then we can look at their persona. We can try to identify more information about them. So try to think about what are some of their demographics. Some of these things can be, you know, how old are they? Is it a man? Is it a woman who's your ideal client? Or does gender maybe not really matter? Think about where they live. Do they live in a suburb, a suburb or a certain geographical area? What do they do? You know, what kind of things do they do for work? What's their approximate income? How many kids do they have? Or maybe they don't have any kids. Think about, would they rent? Maybe do they own? What's their nationality? How's the pandemic affecting them? The more that you understand about the people that you serve, the better that you can serve them. But don't just stop there at the demographics. You know, think about their psychographics. What are some of their hobbies and some of their habits? Think about their lifestyle. What is it like? Are they outdoorsy? Do they like to shop maybe for the latest fashions? Do they want to be healthy, but they don't have much time? You know, think about where do they find fulfillment? Do they find fulfillment in their career, their family, or their activities? So be sure to really identify these and make a note to yourself right now to go in and identify a few audience buyer personas that includes a deep dive into the background and the characteristics of your audience. And so this is really looking at your general types of users, your general types of audience, and this could shift. So it doesn't have to just be one specific person. It can be a few different people that they represent your audience, and that is just fine. So now that you've identified your ideal audience, or at least you're starting to think about it, you have a plan to dig deep into the persona of the audience and know a little bit more about who you want to really reach on those platforms. Charmine's going to transition us into adding value for your audience.
Thanks, Steph. So now that you've kind of, been thinking about your audience, we really need to start understanding about what they need. What do you bring to the table that others value? What does your audience want to learn about? What would be useful to them, important to them? And how can you communicate that? Running a digital marketing consulting business, I know that my audience wants to learn about digital marketing, right? So I want to present myself as an expert so I can share the latest strategies, tips, tricks, and tools. And that means I have to stay vigilant and ahead of the industry so I can curate the latest information. And because I want my audience to learn from me, I'm going to be posting that on all my accounts. And I want, them to find value in what I'm sharing and come to me as the expert or the thought leader. And so, how can you kind of find the valuable content for your audience? What are their pain points? Find those and share content, share resources to help them overcome that pain point and find a solution. You're here trying to create a relationship where you're not outright asking for the sale, but instead you're guiding your audience, providing value, taking them on that journey of awareness, consideration, and finally conversion. And the goal here really is to become a thought leader, be that go-to person that your audience comes to for advice. So let's look at a little exercise that we might be able to do on the next slide. And it's really about looking at who does it best, right? You can take your own expertise into account, of course. You might be creating some really great content based on your, expertise, but it's hard to imagine how you're going to have time to create all this content, right? Blog posts, social media posts. So it's important to kind of have an inventory of content that you might be able to curate from other trusted sources. So anytime I, get going with a new client, a new project, I'm always looking at who does it best. So you really want to start with keywords, right? Keywords in the industry. And this activity is going to help you find impactful people. It's going to help you find where they are on social. And then you want to check out their number of followers, their activity, the quality of content, and the type of content, and follow them. Follow them on all their different accounts and learn how they're building that consistent presence and providing that value across multiple platforms. And really, once you're done with this exercise, you'll be able to understand more than just who the thought leaders are, but what are they talking about? What is the pulse and the tone of the community? What are the trends? What's important to their audience? And what content types are more engaging? People, kind of limit their Twitter experience, for example, to the people that they follow. But it's always a really great idea to look for new, fresh voices to follow and kind of, keep expanding your online conversations. So on the next slide, you may be wondering, okay, well, I'm looking at what other people are posting, I'm understanding my audience, and I'm trying to create value for them, but what should I be posting about, right? So obviously industry news, that's what you're grabbing from those industry experts. It can be shocking, it can be funny, it can be serious, hard-hitting, upcoming events or upcoming client events, right? Promote what your clients are doing. It can promote their image, it can make your business look good, and it also lets people know who you're working with. How about the day-to-day, right? That's a great outlet to showcase your company culture. Did something funny happen? Did someone win an award? Social media is all about being social and all about having that conversation. Another, question that we get a lot is, what kind of content should we post? Well, there's a lot of formats, right? Infographics, for example, they're shared 3 times more than any other type of content. So get on those infographics, right? Videos, webinars, blog posts, newsletters, testimonials, question and answers, things to do, right? Spotlights on clients, on sponsors. There's so many different types of content that you can post, but really think about what engages you. What makes you read? What makes you view, click, comment? What makes you engage? And try to translate that back into your strategy. And really, once you've kind of created a series of content that you've created, that you've curated, you now want to make a schedule and stick to it. So there's an example here on the slide of a content calendar. You can use Hootsuite, HubSpot, Buffer, and maybe create daily themes, right? And each day have a different theme that you kind of stick to. And just for example, maybe there's Motivation Mondays where you're posting quotes. Maybe on Tuesdays you do industry tips and trends and so on. And try to make sure that each one of those themes ties into some sort of value you want to provide for each of your audiences. So let's think of an example of Bryant University, right? They're trying to reach multiple audiences, alumni, prospective, current students, faculty, staff, parents, the business community. If they were to post maybe every Monday a project that students were working on with real-world clients during the semester, that post would engage all of the audiences I just mentioned. So start to think kind of strategically, think about creating a calendar that you stick to, and let your audience kind of expect certain topics from you. So they're coming back again and again for that consistency. Now, listen, you can spend a lot of time building your content calendar, pushing out great, valuable content, but it's important to realize that you can't stop there, right? The next important and often missed step is engagement. And I hear this all the time. I post regularly on social. I have all this great content, but there's no engagement. And you have to think, first of all, these channels, Facebook, Instagram, they're business. They want to show the most engaging content to keep people on their site. They're also pushing pay to play, right? Ads. That means that less of your followers are actually seeing your content. And so to beat the algorithm, you have to have either got to pay or you've got to have really engaging content, right? So beat the algorithm with engagement. And I'm going to hand it over to Stephanie to get us going on that.
Great. Thanks so much, Charmaine. Now that you have a plan for your content, some ideas, let's switch gears into engagement. And remember, there are humans on the other end of your the messages that you're sending. And they're sending messages too. Communication is not a one-way street. It goes both ways. If someone walks into the room and says hi, would you ignore them? No, of course not. If you did, they'd stop saying hi to you. And this is exactly what happens on social media. People tend to ignore their followers. And if you ignore your followers, they're no longer going to want to follow and engage with you. And there's so many ways to engage. Here are a few easy engagement touch points. On Facebook, you've got likes and conversations. Twitter, you've got you can follow, you've got conversations, you can send direct messages. On YouTube, you can get people to watch. LinkedIn, you can connect with people, you can follow people, you can contribute to a group. And then you might wonder, well, who am I engaging with? Well, you got to build your audience. Here are a few easy ways to build so that you can have an audience to engage with. First, start off by inviting your friends. Let the people that are in your life know about your page so that they can support it by liking it. This initial audience that you get, it can help you to establish your credibility, and it can spread the word right away if that audience likes your content. Then don't be afraid of sharing your page and be sure to like it yourself. You should be a spokesperson for your own business, and you shouldn't be ashamed or afraid of that. You can share it with professional organizations and people and orgs that you've followed already. And you can also invite your business contacts. So go ahead and create a list and then send the people an email so that they know about your page. So just get it out there. And I want to really reiterate here is just encourage your offline community to join you online, because it's really an easy way to jumpstart your community building efforts. So please go ahead and write down 3 ways that you think you can incentivize your current network to follow you on social channels. What are some things you can think of to get people that are already in your offline network to start following you on social? Some of the things people do if they already have a business, they have discounts, maybe some free products, some services they're offering, even connections. Yeah, friends and family discount. Yeah. New products, PPE. Yeah, that's a really good incentive right now. That's right. Okay. All right, great. Well, let's think of even some more ways to engage. All right, some more places. Your audience is not just about who will follow you. It's also about following other people too, so that you can engage. So first, let's look at your customers, the people who are going to consume your content or purchase your products and services. Then look at your business partners, your vendors, your suppliers, the people who can help you with your business. Next, look at your competitors and your peers. Try to find out, what are they doing? Join professional organizations to share ideas and to meet others in the industry. Try to go local. So you want to find some local businesses, and then also look at the businesses that are run by people that are already in your network. And ask for the reaction that you want. Give them a prompt. Ask for the commitment. Ask for the like. Ask for the share. Tweets that end in please retweet are more likely to be shared. Make your audience feel like you're part of a community together, right? Make them feel valued and heard as a part of your community. You can ask them to share their opinions, start a conversation with them, tag them in a post, and make sure someone is monitoring your page so that they're looking at the responses and answers. So let's take a moment and try to create a plan, right? You can ask questions, you can like answers, reply to likes, reply to followers. And of course, if you get complaints, you want to reply to those and you want to try to fix them also. So let's quickly sort it out. How often do you plan on engaging? It could be daily, weekly, it could be hourly, but you just have to be careful because your engagement plan can get really overwhelming. If you try to respond quickly, within 20 minutes or within 2 hours to every single person that likes or comments or, asks a question, it can become really overwhelming. A lot of people like to choose a time early in the morning, maybe 15-20 minutes, and then maybe another 15-20 minutes in the evening to respond and engage. So think about, what could you really commit to? Is it 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes around 5:30? You can do that. That can actually work for you. Think about how you want to respond to additional engagements. And then how often are you going to use @ mentions? And so an @ mention is actually using someone's handle in a post. Sometimes it takes more time, but here's the thing. If you constantly just keep using the same people to mention, it's not really growing your network. So you're going to have to put the time in to find some new people. So let's take a second and go ahead and think about that. And Charmaine, I'm going to turn it over to you to continue talking about engagement.
Yeah, so engagement is so important, especially on all of your accounts. And this is now for all my businesses out there, my nonprofits. Another commonly missed strategy is developing an employee engagement strategy. That means getting your employees and volunteers to post on social on behalf of the organization on their own accounts, right? They have a huge network of social connections. And social followers of your employees are actually 7 times more likely to convert into being customers. Your engaged employees on social will actually help you meet your goals, boost sales. Think about it. How many of you have bought or at least considered buying a product because you saw one of your connections online used it, right? But before you start this, you want to make sure that you have a clearly defined type of content that you would like to be shared and why. You can create pre-approved messages with branded hashtags, with a schedule. You want to make it really easy for your employees to post approved and timely content. Maybe it's around a specific campaign. Maybe it's before, during, and after an event. You can even create an internal library of approved websites that employees can have access to and share what they choose from the sites. And there's really some great benefits to this, right? So sharing quality third-party content, it shows that your company is an industry leader, it's on top of the latest trends, and is giving industry-specific content and information. It helps employees showcase their knowledge, grow their own individual expertise, and even boost their career growth. And employees can truly develop overall trust, right, with their social connections. And this can lead to new business opportunities for the company and an overall interest in what your company stands for. So think about, recognizing brand advocates, reinforcing those positive relationships, and thinking about how you can reward those people who are positively talking about your organization and what you do on a daily basis. So basically, we're kind of going to do an overview here of what we learned, right? So we talked about, where will you post, right? So you've got to do your research, know what platforms are most likely to be used by your target audience, and focus most of your efforts on establishing a presence on those channels. When you think about who you're going to reach, you want to create that persona for your ideal client. Who are they? What they're interested in? How are you uniquely positioned to help them? And what will you say? How can you share your story, right? Consider the type of content that your customers will seek out from you. Can you kind of provide them with the resources they need to help them in a buying decision? And think about how you're going to say it, right? Social media is really visual. So you want to consider how you'll present the information online and how you can develop content that looks and sounds like your brand. And when will you make that call to action, right? You got to tell them what to do. So once you have your ideal client on your page, let them know how to engage with you, whether it's on social, website, or email. So we kind of like, to switch gears here, we got a couple questions that came in before the webinar. And one of them I get asked a lot, which, what are some of the tools to make social media marketing more efficient? So I have a handful of them up here. Hootsuite's great for scheduling. It's also a really great place to do monitoring and listening to your community. Buffer is really great for scheduling. Canva for designing all those posts. You can design landing pages, emails, branding kits. BuzzSumo, Sprout Social, really great analytical tools where you can start understanding, where visitors are visiting, the audience are visiting the most, the average time they've spent on the sites, what are your most popular posts, what are people most engaged with. And then HubSpot's kind of a one-stop shop for all the above. You can get your analytics, you can post from there, you can really store a lot of interesting information about your clients on HubSpot. I also got a question about resources to follow for social. Listen, this is a really dynamic and quickly changing topic, so I suggest podcasts. They're typically, what they do is they invite guests that are very experienced, that have best practices. They give their tips and tricks based on the latest trends. Marketing School is one I listen to on the way to work. Now my way to work is down the stairs to my basement. So, but that's a really great one to watch. We also got a question about how to launch mobile apps using social media. Great question. Couple of our suggestions would be to promote before you launch. I have a little photo there of, coming soon, showing the app and how people can, connect with it. Facebook and Instagram is a great place to live stream. And live streaming is really authentic, right? It's an authentic interaction with your audience. It's got that live human element, and you can actually get some real-time audience feedback. Within app sharing, so this is basically allowing your users in your app to connect with other people. So you got to give them this option to share content from your app on their social platform. So making those icons really visible and easy to access from within your app, and giving option to mobile users to be able to share on whatever, site they want. YouTube, your current and prospective app users, they're probably on YouTube. They're using the mobile app for YouTube. And it's just a great place to post content that can be repurposed. So once you kind of upload a how to use your app or functionality of your app, you've got all these other options of putting it on your website, tweeting out a link to that video, or maybe adding it to a Facebook community page. You've also got the option of an ad objective on Instagram or Facebook, where you can post I have a picture of it on the previous slide, showing how you can kind of install new, and that's a type of ad objective you can pick in Facebook. On the next slide, someone was asking how to do Instagram paid ads. Here's a bunch of different examples here. What I would do, and that's on the next slide, is check out your competitors, right? See what they're up to and how they're getting people to product pages. So if I was, this is just a sample here where I opened Instagram on my mobile device and I visited Article, right? This company, their account. I clicked on the link in their bio, I visited their mobile site, and once I was there, I scrolled to their product page and clicked on a specific product. I exited the mobile site and reopened Instagram. And if they had set up Facebook Pixel remarketing, I would actually see an ad for their product, as you see on the far right, to the Article company. So just start learning what the journey is that your competitors are taking their audience on and model that as well. I'll go to slide 45. We had questions on webinars. If you can advance the slide, Stephanie. To the webinars. Yeah, so this is a couple examples and a link we can share. It was about private communities for members only. Most webinars allow you to have a password protected presentation. Facebook group has privacy settings, as well as websites can have very specific sections for members only that are password protected. All right, so I want to thank everyone for joining us. On the next slide, you can see some of the spaces that you can connect with us. We've got the mastermind group, which will be sending a link to you to join. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter for BizU Profs, or our own personal Twitters, and our LinkedIns are also available. And on the next slide, we actually have a QR code that you can hold up your phone with the photo app and act like you're about to take a picture, and it will actually send you to the website to get more information about our book. It is like a workbook. You can write in it, and it takes you on a 30-day journey of using and igniting your brand using social media. So I hope that you have a chance to check that out. And if we have any time, I'd love to open the floor to any questions.
Charmaine, we do have a question about hashtags, and are hashtags dead? Should we still use hashtags?
So hashtags are really important to include yourself in a conversation regarding a specific topic. So especially when you're trying to become found, right? You want to make sure that you're using those tags. And some platforms, it's more acceptable than others. On Instagram, for example, people can use, up to 30 hashtags, and they do. Twitter, it's still very popular to use hashtags. LinkedIn and Facebook, you don't want to include 30, right? Maybe just a few really pointed ones, and that's so you become discoverable. You can also use branded hashtags in a way that people can kind of use that branded hashtag to join the conversation about your brand. Then it's a lot easier to monitor sentiment and topics related to your specific brand. Or maybe you're trying to have a specific campaign and you want people to use that hashtag, that branded hashtag, so that you can, start collecting some of that user-generated content that you can use at another time. Good question.
We have another one from Susan, and she's asking which social site is best for custom designers to use?
Custom designers. So what kind of design, Susan, could you clarify? Stephanie, did she clarify in the question?
Not yet. We're still waiting. It might take a moment. Hand-woven fiber, she says.
Okay, I'm assuming this is kind of hand-woven fiber. Okay, so I would say space like Instagram, which is very visual, Pinterest, which is very DIY, Etsy has a great space for kind of, you're a fiber artist. I don't know what that is. That sounds really cool. I'm gonna look that up. But artistic spaces, I would say, are typically Pinterest, Etsy, and Instagram, using story options, engaging artists with swipe ups to your site to learn more, sharing, behind the scenes of how you do what you do and what the process is would be wonderful.
We
That's
have
great.
Daniel on here asking, how do you find other groups and pages that your audience is interested in? And Daniel, if you go back to that persona, if you think about that ideal person that you think would be that ideal client for you, then you can actually go and look up these specific people. Maybe you have somebody in mind and you can see who they are actually following. Charmaine, what do you think? What are some other ideas?
What was the question? Sorry.
Oh, no problem. How do you find other groups and pages that your audience is interested in?
Yeah, so that's where when you start looking up those keywords of your industry, you're going to start seeing people talking about different, organizations they're a part of, different mastermind groups. They'll probably start talking about events that they go to, and that's where you're kind of listening before you start your strategy and really understanding what the trends are, where people are hanging out, and how you can join these groups. So it's a lot about doing research, using keywords.
Great. I know we want to be respectful of your time. We are 2 minutes over, and we just wanted to take a moment and say thank you to all of you who participated in the session today. Thank you so much to our alumni friends who worked hard to put this together. We really appreciate you.
Yes, thank you so much. And please reach out. I see a lot more questions coming in. Please do reach out and let us know how we can help out. We're happy to answer. I think we need a couple more of these webinars to be able to, but I love these questions. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, absolutely. And, on behalf of the Bryant Alumni Association, we want to thank Dr. Adoran and Dr. Boyer for an excellent presentation. Most of all, we want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon. As you see up there on the slide, you can view archive webinars as well as upcoming events on our website. It's at alumni.bryant.edu. And again, if you have any other follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out to Charmaine and Stephanie on their accounts that they shared with us earlier. And this concludes today's webinar. Thank you and have a great afternoon.